Recently, I was in a boardroom in a building in Manhattan, and someone made a comment on my beard and asked me like what was going on. Like, you're growing a playoff beard? Like, what's up? Like, what's with the beard? So I explained to him that it's the time is called Sefira, and we're in a period of mourning. And he said, mourning for who? I said, well, a long time ago, Rabbi Kiva was this great rabbi. He had 24,000 students, and they died. And he looked at me and he goes, "What? Like, what do you do with those students?" And like, shouldn't you be over it by now? Like, really? You're not shaving because of a bunch of people that died a long time? Like, what? Weren't there people that died in the Jewish religion like all the time? You should never shave based on your history. And I'm like, I hear it. Like, we lost 6 million people a couple of years ago. We shouldn't shave at all. But yet we're in this period of time called Sefira, in which we practice signs of mourning and music and shaving and haircuts, and we do things that are indicative of mourning from a national perspective. Why? Why them versus anyone else and any other tragedy? So I want to share with you a perspective. Whether you keep or don't, it doesn't matter. I want to share with you the perspective. A long time ago, I remember I was playing in varsity sports. I was in high school. We lost a big game, a playoff game. We got back to the locker room, and some guys were crying, and some guys were upset, and some guys were, just didn't care. And we were sitting in the locker room, and like, it's a big deal. We're in high school. This is your life. And I was talking to the coach, and the coach was saying to me, that person there? He pointed to somebody. He says, it's a shame he's not upset that we lost. And I said, why? He said, because you're only upset when you lose if you thought you could win. If you get blown out, if we play a professional team, you're not upset. You don't think you're going to win. But if you're playing a team that you're comparable to, and you lose by a few points, and you could have won, that's upsetting. The fact that he's not upset at all means he didn't believe that he could have won. And he could have won. He has that talent. He just doesn't know it in himself. Why are we practicing signs of mourning during this period of time? It wasn't for 24,000 students. We lost a lot more people in this world. Those 24,000 students were the students of Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Akiva was at one point the greatest rabbi in the world. It was a time in which the Romans were taking over Israel. Rabbi Akiva had Bar Kokhba, which was one of the greatest generals ever, and a war and a revolt and a rebellion to push out the Romans, and it was working. And on the right he had the army, and on the left he had the army, and on the right he had 24,000 students. You know how many students that is? That was going to be the spiritual giants, and everything was lined up for the Messiah. Everything was lined up for redemption. Everything was lined up for us to be able to take our country back. This wasn't about 24,000 students. This is about national redemption. And then a plague broke out in the students. They weren't respecting each other at their level. And the war started to turn against us. And before you know it, not only did we lose, but the Romans plunged us into the exile that we're still in right now. This isn't about 24,000 students. This period of time is about the fact that we almost touched the Messiah. We almost touched redemption. We almost got everything back. The reason why we are keeping this is because God is telling us, you could do it. You need to realize that you need to be upset about the loss, because the more you're upset about the loss, the more you'll realize that you have the ability to make the difference, to bring the world to a better place, to bring the Jewish people to a better place, to bring your life to a better place. God's like, I'm making you care. I'm making you do the work so that you remind yourself that you got to be in some sort of mourning, because only those that care about the loss are the ones that thought that they could have won. And you need to realize, Hashem says, that you have the potential to win. This period of time, with our recognition of what we lost, should remind us that God believes that we have the potential to actually make the difference. Because if it was no chance, we would have moved on a long time ago. This week's Torah portion, Hashem says, Kedoshim Tiyu, be holy. You know why? Because I'm holy. Well, you're God. And God says, I know I'm God, but you got a piece of me in you too. So you should be holy because you got a piece of me in there. You're not just a regular person. You may feel like you're regular. You may think that you're regular. You may assume that you're regular. I'm telling you, there's nothing regular about you. We realize who we are, or we believe in who we are, we'll realize that there's nothing that we can't accomplish.